This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
Good morning, folks. This is Vince, the Evil DM, the podfather of OSR Podcasting, back with yet another episode on this, what is this, Tuesday morning. Oh, boy. Anyway, I'm following up on a voicemail from Kevin from the Redcaps Podcast, and, I love doing voicemails, and I love hearing voicemails and people writing in and giving me comments below through Facebook or through Mayway or MeWe, whatever you pronounce it. It's fun, but I think voicemails are probably the best source of show generation possible. So if you can, folks, get over to anchor.fm/theevildm and just click that button, and you can record it right from your phone with the Anchor app. So all you really need to do is, I think, sign up. You may or may not have to. I'm not positive on that, but sign up on the Anchor app. Who cares if you don't do your own podcast? You can at least leave a voicemail to your favorite show. It doesn't even have to be my show. It could be the Redcaps Podcast, which is a great podcast as well. It could be Eric Tankar's Tavern. It could be Old Man Grognard, Glenn Hallstrom, anybody. There's tons of podcasts out there that appreciate voicemails, and why not do it? It's a fun way to interact with the show, get your voice heard on it, whatever. Anyway, let's head right over to Kevin's voicemail.
Hey, Vince, it's Kevin calling from the Redcaps Podcast. Just listening to your episode on what level you restart somebody after they die in the game, and I've always played with the rule that you take whatever the current experience point level that they were at their death and divide it by the size of the party. So if you had 16,000 experience points as a level 5 fighter, and you died and there was 4 people in your party, you would restart a new character at 4,000 XP, and that would be whatever level it was for that particular class. So if it was a fighter, 4,000 XP would equal it to level 3. If you were a dwarf, that 4,000 XP might be just below level 3, I believe, almost to it. And if you were a magic user, you'd be a little bit of ways away from level 3. But that's how I would do it. Take the XP, divide it by party size, and then roll up a new character. Anyhow, great podcast. Thanks very much. Talk to you again soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you stopping by again, leaving me another voicemail. All the voicemails are appreciated, as usual. Anyway, for your method of, I guess, bringing people back from death for the new character, dividing it by the party size, their experience, I think that's a great idea for lower levels, but I shouldn't say lower levels. I think it's a great idea for smaller parties, but when you get into larger groups, that might be a little bit more of a problem. And so say you, like you said, you have 4 divided by whatever, and that's what you get. That's what you start with. But what if you have a group of 7 or 8 and that person dies, and now you're dividing, let's say you have 8,000 experience points with 7 people, you've got less than, 1,000 experience points to deal with. So if everybody is... The problem that I run into with this is what's fair and for me as the DM, and what's fair for the player himself as well. Because if we're doing your method or we're doing my method, I have to take into account a couple things that now that the party is level 8, and this person now has to be level 2, for example, say if we're dividing experience like yours, or if in my method I'm starting in a couple levels lower, 6 or 5, you have to consider now everything that you throw at them, that lower level person, and may have a little bit more difficulty. While Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition is not a game of fairness and the proper monster can only attack because this is not a snowflake edition, monsters are put there for reasons, and players need to learn to run. But anyway, I have to consider that because when a player is low level than the rest of the party, I'm aiming things for the higher end of the party or the average of the party. Now, the problem comes in that lower level is going to average the party slightly lower than they are when I'm looking at things to throw at them, so it might make the adventures a little bit easier. Now, if I take higher level monsters that are more appropriate for a group of that size and that level, they might die because they don't have that extra support in the back. But it really depends on the class and really depends on what level they're going to start at. So I don't know. I have a tough time, and sometimes I'll just tell the player, if they do have a character that passes on, that just start at one level less than the party group. So generally people in first edition are obviously in basic as well, and second edition levels different here and there. Usually a level 2 or 3, maybe. I think the most would be 3 levels apart I've had in a group because of players not showing up because, life happens. So what are you going to do? But yeah, I mostly, for the most part, I've had the group at least a level, maybe 2 apart, depending on the class that they're playing in 1E. So it's not that big of a deal. Generally, I like to give some experience to people. Well, I'll save that for another episode. Never mind. Yeah. So hopefully that does answer some more and give everybody another perspective about bringing characters back from death. Thank you, Kevin. Head over to the Redcaps Podcast here on Anchor.fm. Check him out as well. Listen to his daily, I think it's daily podcast. And just leave him a voicemail as well. With that said, keep it original, keep it old school, and Podfather out.